We're ready to do our second stage of flasking here. The stone of the first stage is set, the flask is all cleaned off, there's no stone on the wax. Before we go ahead with the second stage, what I have to do is separate the stone from the first stage. Again, I'm going to use Vaseline, and I'm just going to put Vaseline on all of this stone from the first stage. This is so that you'll be able to separate the flask and get the thing apart later in order to get the wax out and put your acrylic in. You can also put a little bit of debubbleizer around your wax up if you want, particularly around the teeth. Debubbleizer around the teeth will just help to preserve the detail of your wax up. I'm going to take the top half of my flask now and put it on top of the bottom half. Something we didn't talk about in the first video. You don't have to worry about it at school because we know that they're all going to fit, but before you start your flasking, you should check to make sure that your model fits inside the flask and that the teeth don't project higher than the top of the top flask. Otherwise, it'll be hard for you to get the flask together. And when we put this model into the lower flask, we push it all the way to the bottom of the lower flask, or until that land area is even with the side of the flask. So all I have to do is put the top on the flask. Now we're going to do this as a 3-stage, so this is our second stage of the 3-stage flasking. I've separated everything on the inside. I'm going to add stone up to the levels of the occlusals of those teeth. I want this stone to go just to the occlusals of those teeth. I vibrate it to make sure I get out any bubbles. Notice that I'm holding the flask firmly together while I'm vibrating it, just to make sure that the stone doesn't all run out between the two halves of the flask. If I don't hold them together, the stone can just run out between the two halves. So I'm just going to take my finger and I'm going to expose the occlusals of those teeth. And that's it. That's all I need to do for the second stage of flasking.